Hi, I'm Tyson Smith, Toastmasters Division 8 Director in District 11. I wanted to show you something. My club, Tuesday Night Toastmasters, has never done a meeting online before. We've always met in person. However, with this pandemic that we have on hand right now, this changes things. We can't meet in person anymore, so therefore, we decided to have our first meeting ever on Zoom this week, and it went really well. I want to show you a little bit about how to use Zoom and also introduce you to a couple of my members who will tell you how this meeting went this week. When you're in Zoom, if you click My Account, and then you can click Meetings over on the left to create a new meeting. You can put in your name, put in the description. So I'll put in Tuesday Night Toastmasters, that's my club, when Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. an hour and 30 minutes. Now keep in mind that with the free Zoom account, which I have, there's a 40-minute limit with 3 or more participants. So what we did is when it hit 40 minutes, I restarted the meeting. And so if you time this out right, it does not interfere with the meeting, because we did it after the prepared speakers, before we went into table topics and evaluations, and so it worked out really well. We don't want to, in this situation, we're just going to do just a single meeting, and then we can reuse the same link. We don't want to require a password because we want everyone to be able to get on easily, including guests if you send a link to them, only if you send the link to them. Video on for the host and on for the participants. I want everyone to share the videos. Audio, they can join either by telephone or computer for their audio. Enable join before host is nice because this means if you're a little bit late getting it started, your members can join. They don't have to wait for you to start it. They can already join. And I'm going to hit save. If you want to record it automatically, you can hit this and it'll record it automatically. Otherwise, you can choose when you start to record it if you want to do so. Save it, and then here's the invitation link. You can copy this and send this out to your members. Now I'm going to go back to my meetings, and you can see it here, upcoming meetings. If I look at previous meetings, we can see this is the link that we used this last Tuesday for the meeting. I'm going to open it up now because I'm using the same link. I give this link to my
kill it. The ask can kill the virus. So they said that's hopeful news.
Hey, hello everyone.
Hi, Tyson.
Hi, Tyson.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm glad I could join you. I'm here with a couple of my members from my Tuesday Night Toastmasters Club. Got Janice Purnell and Lise Zhang. Zhang, how do you say your last name?
Zhang.
Zhang? Cool. Well, it's good to have you here. So this week we had our first meeting online. You were both on it. So first of all, Janice, you've been a member of our club for a while, and this was the first online meeting that you've been on, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. It definitely was the first time to be online.
So what was your impression of the meeting? What did you like about it? Or did you not like it?
Well, I really liked the ideal that so many of us were able to connect. It was really, I thought it was a very good meeting because we had over 6 or 7 people that was there. So that was really phenomenal to have that amount of people to be able to be there. We didn't have to worry about the challenges, traveling. We didn't have to worry about the band or anything like that. So that made it much more relaxing to be able to be a part of the meeting. And people were able to, I did the table topics, still was able to do that. One of the things I do enjoy about this is that we're able to connect quickly and we can see everybody, we can still stay in contact. However, my cons is that I really miss being in the presence with everyone, standing up and speaking and walking around the room we were talking about how we can possibly do that in the future, maybe if we're needed to situate our laptop or so that we could walk around or something like that. So
Right.
those are my comments.
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think being able to meet in person, there's another dynamic involved in that. That's not quite in the virtual meetings, but yet I think it's really powerful in other ways too. As you mentioned, we're able to connect. You don't have to travel, and with their situation, places are shutting down and we're not able to. So I think this is a great way to do it.
Mhm.
Elise, would you like to tell us what you thought of the meeting?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of good things about a meeting. First, it's flexible. I think Zoom itself, the software is very well built. So you don't need to, it doesn't really take a long time to install. And you can easily turn it on and join the meeting with the link. And you can mute yourself when there is noise on the background and unmute yourself when you need to speak. Also, based on my experience, that was my second Toastmaster session, and it was a virtual one. And during that meeting, everybody was very engaged. You can see from the screen. So I have had a lot of virtual meetings, but we don't usually turn on the camera. And having the camera turn on make it more professional or official. So you can see that everybody is engaged, and you can see that attention by looking at the screen when you're making a speech. So I feel like that kind of covers the downside, which I am about to mention. That we heard people say that we feel less nervous when we're talking to a computer instead of talking to the actual people. I think the nervousness is something that we like to conquer through the Toastmaster classes. And there is a little downside by not being able to speak in front of people. But sometimes, like, you still get the opportunity to talk, and you have people listening to you and give you like feedbacks, structure feedbacks. And when you're receiving feedbacks, I feel like having a computer on your hand will allow you to take notes pretty easily, because you can just type on something when you're listening to other people's opinions. So I think there are good side and downside, but overall, I think it's a good experience. It provides more convenience. But I agree with Janice. It can be like overall, when the virus is controlled, we can still have like in-person meetings. But I think this is a good opportunity.
Right. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, as you mentioned, it's an easy way to take notes. For some people, if they have two monitors, or they might want to be able to type their notes out on the computer, they're already at the computer. Or if they write them down, such as when you're evaluating someone. I think it's still good to print out the evaluation sheet. That's what I did. But as we get more used to this, we might consider using some digital forms or something like that as well too. That could be a possibility. But I think this is a great way to be able to connect with people, and it kind of does reduce that nervousness of standing up and talking in front of people, which, of course, that overcoming that and pushing through that is what empowers you to grow. However, there's a different level of nervousness doing the meeting online, and I understand that some of the members in our clubs within the district, they're nervous about using the online platform because they're not familiar with the technology. That could be another good opportunity for them to grow, because something that they're not familiar with, if they push through it and make it happen, they learn how to use it and how good and powerful this can be. That could be another way that can empower them. Having this skill can be useful in various situations too, such as what we're in right now. Being able to use this, if you're familiar with it, that can be a good skill to have. Now, and Lise, as you mentioned, this was the second meeting that you've been to. You visited our club twice. The first meeting was in person. This was the first meeting that we had online. And it must have been an effective meeting, because you sent your application to me right after the meeting. So we got a new member from our first virtual meeting
Yeah, immediately after that.
immediately after that. So that was great. So that shows this is effective. Even our visitors like it. Let's do a little demonstration of how to actually run the meeting. We're not going to do a full meeting, of course, but I'll just show quickly how if you're doing a PowerPoint, this can be really powerful. You don't have to actually have a screen or a projector. You can share your screen right here on your computer. If I share my screen right here, I can just show you that I've got a PowerPoint up here. Creating the best club climate. And that's what we're working on doing here for our online meetings. We want to make sure we have a great climate for that. And so that's really easy. If you want to share a screen, if you want to show a presentation, you can do it right there. So that makes it easy right there too.
And I have a comment on this. I'm not sure if you can see the screen yourself, but I can still see your video. So people can still give comments on your gesture or body language when you're doing the speaking.
Oh, that's very good.
Yep.
I like that. That's good to know. And I can see your videos as well. Now, okay, let me stop sharing and we're back to me. Let's do a brief table topics session. During our meeting, of course, when someone was speaking, everyone else would mute themselves. That's a good way to do it, to eliminate any background sounds, especially the prepared speakers and table topics. So we'll do that here with this as well too. But for our table topics, I will give you each a subject, and this is pretty cool. I've got the chat pack. This is something you can order from Toastmasters from the store. It's a box of cards, and each one has a topic on it. So I can pull out one of these cards out here. This can help make the meeting fun as well too. Okay, well, let's start with who wants to go first? I'll just ask for a volunteer. Raise your hand. Who wants to go first? Okay, Janice. All right, Janice, here's your table topic. If you could know one fact about every person you meet, what particular fact would you want it to be? Assume that the other person would not have to be aware that you knew this fact about them. And I will time you, and I've got some timing cards that I will hold up. 1 minute, 1 minute and 30 seconds, and 2 minutes.
Okay. If I heard, good evening, Table Topics Master. If I heard the question correctly, you said, if I could know one thing about someone without them being aware, what would that be? Is that the question?
Yes, if you could know one thing, one fact about a person that you meet for the first time, so you didn't know this person, of course they wouldn't be aware of the fact or whatever it is that you knew, but if you knew one thing about that person when you meet them, what would you want that to be?
I would want to know if they were genuinely an honest person. Because if they were an honest person, then it would make for better friendships. We could trust, we could have a great time. And if they were a dishonest person, and I would know that right away, I would know just to smile and keep on moving. I wouldn't necessarily have to engage in a long friendship. I think that's the challenge with relationships today, is that we never know when we can trust someone. We never know when somebody is going to be honest. My son just recently came home from the military, and he went to go visit some of his friends that he had been corresponding with quite a bit before he got here. And as soon as he got in town, they quit calling him. And one friend he even lent some money to. He says, "Mom, I should have never done that." because now when I call that person back, they say, oh, I have to go buy groceries. Right now is not the good time. Giving him a bunch of excuses. He said it was a lesson well learned that you just can't trust everybody. So had he had that ability, then he would know that would not be a person to trust. So, table topics master, I would like to know who's honest and who's not.
That's good. Thank you. And so this is our first meeting, so we're not sure how to do the clapping thing we had discussed. Even if you're muted, you can still see everyone else clapping. So that's still, it's a good way to applaud people. Very nice. Okay, Lise, I'll give you a subject now. So could you guys see my timing cards okay?
Yeah, it worked.
Okay. And one more tip, if you have a lot of members, then you won't be able to see everyone's screen at the same time. You can click the 3 dots in the top right corner of their image, or right click on their image and then pin the video. So then you'll see that person's video. No matter what, no matter who's talking, you'll see their image on the screen. Otherwise, it's the person who is talking. All right, Lise, let me find a question for you. When people find out what you do for a living, what is the most typical question that they are likely to ask you regarding your job?
Good evening, Toastmasters, or table Toastmasters. When I talk about my job, it is very hard for me to explain to people what I'm doing. Every time I try to explain to it, it'll make them more puzzled about it. I'm an IT product manager. It is a little different from the normal product manager that you may heard about, who manages a series of products. So instead of telling people what I'm actually doing, because people, the most frequent question people ask is, what is IT product manager? And I will try to explain things in an easier way. I'll say, I work at computer. So it makes it easier because everybody knows what computer is about, and it will avoid people from trying to understand more. And it's a little funny to talk in a more shallow way for people to understand. So I'm a person who works at my computer.
Nice. That was good. Yeah, that's a good simple way to explain it, because technical stuff, it can get pretty technical when you try to explain it. Right. Well, that was great. Thank you very much for participating.
Yay.
And I'll give you your times. And Janice, you were 1 minute and 20, or 1 minute and 46 seconds. Lise, you're 1 minute and 16 seconds. So just a few tips, as I mentioned, about you can pin someone's screen. For timing, it's helpful if you have cards or just colored objects that you can hold up. That's the good simple way to do it. And so I think that's the basics. So those are some of the basic ways to use Zoom for your Toastmasters meeting. One other thing is you want to make eye contact the best you can, which if you're looking at your screen, if you're looking at the image of the person, then it's going to be, it'll look like you're looking below, like down and below, because the other person is seeing what the camera sees. So if you look into the camera, then that looks more like you're making direct eye contact with the person. So that's one more tip. Yeah, your lighting is another thing. If your light is coming from in front of you or from the sides or above you, then you appear brighter. It looks better than if it's coming from behind you. You might have glare on glasses if you're wearing glasses, so try to adjust your lighting. so that it doesn't glare too bad, hopefully, but you can see glare on my glasses. So those are a few extra bonus tips for anyone who wants to use Zoom for the meetings. Thank you very much for joining me on here. We'll go ahead and wrap this up.